Hey golf people, if you're thinking about the Bushnell Launch Pro or the Mevo Plus and you're trying to decide which one is right for you, we're gonna cover it on today's video. So I've had a chance to check out both the Mevo Plus and the Bushnell Launch Pro for quite some time now. And I even got a chance to install the new Pro upgrade, which really took the Mevo Plus from a very good tool to an amazing tool. And now I really do think it can stand toe to toe with the Bushnell Launch Pro. So here are the categories that I'm going to cover on today's video. Firstly, we're going to talk about ease of use. How easy is it to get set up? How intuitive is the app? And how much of a joy is this thing to use in real life? The next thing we're going to cover is data points. What do these devices measure? And do you get something out of either one that you don't get in the other? We'll cover that. The next category is going to be the biggest one and the most important one for most of us, and that's accuracy. How accurate is the data? Can you trust the reads that come off these devices? Next, we're going to cover durability. How long will these things hold up? Will they stand the test of time? Do you have to use kid gloves with these, or are they pretty robust? I'll show you. The next category is portability. How easy is it to transport these devices to and from your home? The next category is battery life. How long will these devices last? How long will it be between charges of these devices? The next category is going to be value for money. Now on paper, there are some differences in terms of price. It's basically $1,000 less to get the Mevo Plus. But if you're gonna add the upgrade, it takes it in line with the Bushnell Launch Pro around the $3,000 mark. However, there are some software licensing fees that you need to keep in mind with both of these devices. So we're gonna cover all of that and try to break it down as easy as possible for you. As we go through these categories, make sure that you're considering what is the most important feature set for you, because there's no perfect device out there. These are pretty darn close. I'm just going to hopefully help you make that decision a little bit easier. Now, both the Mevo Plus with the Pro upgrade as well as the Bushnell Launch Pro are available at playbetter.com. That's our show sponsor. They've got the best pricing on the internet. In fact, they often give our community some discounts, and if there's anything that I can save you, it will be down there in the description. Playbetter.com has free 48-hour shipping across the continental United States. They have a super easy money-back guarantee. If you're not happy within 60 days, you can return or replace any items you buy from them. And they're fantastic supporters of this show and what we're doing here on Let's Play Through. So if you are going to purchase either of these systems or even add on the Pro upgrade to your Mevo Plus, please use the links down below. It helps support this show. Now let's get into the shootout. Our first category here is setup and ease of use. Both of these I would give basically about a 7 out of 10. Now there's no perfect device out there when it comes to launch monitors. Some of them have some really weird quirks when it comes to registering an account, getting your password set up and all of that, which you'd think would be smooth, but oftentimes isn't when it comes to launch monitors. However, I will say the Bushnell is pretty rock solid getting set up. It's pretty intuitive. The only issues I see with that one are the fact that it needs constant Wi-Fi connectivity. And while I'm at my home here in studio, I have no issues. If you take this out to the range, you just might. And I've actually run into some problems where I didn't have a Wi-Fi signal. The Bushnell Launch Pro was trying to verify the license via the Wi-Fi. It didn't have Wi-Fi to connect, and so I couldn't actually use it out on the range a couple of times. Luckily, the country club I belong to has Wi-Fi, and it just barely reaches the range, and so when I'm there, I don't have an issue, but it does constantly need to connect, and you could run into some problems. I hope they fix that with a firmware update. Other than that, super easy. It sets up right near the ball. It shows you where the ball needs to go, and the apps work pretty well for the Bushnell Launch Pro. Now, the Mevo Plus is also fairly easy and intuitive when it comes to the app. The only issue that the Mevo Plus has is that you've got to have really good setup, and it's got to be perfect in order for you to get accurate readings out of the device. Ideally, the unit needs to sit 8 feet behind the ball, and oftentimes, like where I'm at my range, the mat height is not necessarily ground height, and so I've got to prop it up and try to get it even or level. You've sometimes got to fidget with some settings as you get set up, and you also need a bigger space in order to pull it off. because you need really 8 feet behind you as well as a minimum of 8 feet in front of you, and the more the merrier, honestly, when it comes to Doppler devices. We'll talk about that more when it comes to accuracy. But all in all, again, 7 out of 10 for the Mevo Plus. So these two really are tied when it comes to setup and intuitiveness. Let's talk about price. The Mevo Plus by itself, just the hardware only, is $19.99, and sometimes you can get it a little bit better. They run some specials from time to time there, but give or take $2,000. Now, if you're going to add the Pro upgrade, you're also going to spend another $1,000, and I highly recommend you do that because it makes the device much more powerful, gives you access to other stats and things that are really going to elevate this to the level of the Launch Pro. Now, the Mevo Plus comes with access to E6, which is a third-party software and simulation program. And with your purchase of the Mevo Plus, you will get 5 courses unlocked or included with E6. But if you want access to more courses, or if you want to add another third-party system, you're probably going to end up spending about $300 or more, potentially much more, for simulation features that you'll get from a third party. However, the Mevo Plus has no other software costs or recurring costs with it. Once you buy the hardware, and if you go ahead and purchase the Pro upgrade, then you've got that for life. That's really nice. Now, the Bushnell Launch Pro's sticker price is going to be around $3,000. I think they have it at $29.99. And I have not seen yet any discounts on this, but of course, as the device gets older, you might start to see some discounts. It's still pretty new. It's not even a year old as of me making this video. So the retail price, $29.99, is what you'll probably find it for. Now, that's not the whole story though, because in order to unlock some really critical features and capabilities of what the Bushnell Launch Pro can do, you're going to have to purchase a plan, or you can unlock this device. Now, I would personally recommend you unlocking this device for a number of reasons, which we will cover here in just a minute, but that's going to set you back another $4,000 in order to do that. And so now you're talking about a $7,000 unit. I still think that's a better deal than the GC3, which is the exact same hardware as the Bushnell Launch Pro. And I did a video about that to explain that in more detail. I'll leave a link to that here. But I would recommend unlocking it. Here are the options you have though. You've got a basic, which is $99 a year, very affordable, but again, doesn't give you that club data that's really useful, and it's probably the reason you're spending this much money on a device for that type of accuracy and for that type of information. So for me, the basic really isn't even a viable option. Neither is silver, because again, you're still not getting those options, but with silver, you are getting some simulation features, and you've got access to 5 courses. You can have 20 sessions saved in the cloud and a few other things. But at $399 a year, I still don't think that that is worth it, because you're still not getting access to those club features and data points that we really need. So really, you've got to spend $799 a year to get a gold subscription in my mind. That's kind of the minimum thing you're going to have to do in order to really get the most out of this unit. So if you're going to spend $3,000 on the Bushnell Launch Pro, know that you should be spending the other $800 a year to get those data points, as well as a few more courses. You now get 10 courses, more players, and a few other features. But really, I do believe you should just go ahead and unlock this device, which gives you access to everything in the gold subscription for life. And that also is transferable if you sell the unit. So if you spend the extra money, the $4,000 to unlock this device, or $39.99 as it were, you then can transfer this or sell this on the secondary market. And I believe there is either a $250 or $500 fee, depending on who you ask at Bushnell, in order to transfer that license. But there's a lot more value in a system that gives you access to all of these features. So I would just go ahead and unlock it, but at a minimum, I think you've got to spend $799 a year to maintain this device. So there are maintenance costs associated with the Bushnell Launch Pro. So for me, I do think there is more value in the Mevo Plus, because you do have access to third-party developers, which will probably save you some money on a month-to-month basis. All right, guys, before I move on to the next category, I want to remind you to please do hit subscribe here. It really does help the channel. And it gives you access to my reviews before anyone else. And oftentimes it pays to be one of the first because we've got discounts, we've got giveaways, and all sorts of fun things on this channel. Hit subscribe right now. It helps grow the channel and it will help you too. All right, guys, now let's talk about the data points that are available both out of the box with these devices as well as with some of those optional software upgrades that to me aren't optional. But let's start with the Bushnell Launch Pro. You get carry distance, ball speed, total spin, horizontal launch angle, vertical launch angle, club head speed, and smash factor. You also get total distance, offline distance, descent angle, and peak height. Now, some of those you also need to apply a sticker. They are included with the Bushnell Launch Pro, but you put those stickers on the clubs and that is what unlocks a few of those club face options. Now, with the gold subscription or unlocking the device, you are now going to get access to spin tilt axis, backspin, side spin, club path, and angle of attack. All right, now out of the box with the Mevo Plus, you are going to get ball speed, club head speed, smash factor, carry distance, launch angle, spin rate, apex height, flight time, angle of attack, spin loft, launch direction, spin axis, roll distance, total distance, lateral landing, shot dispersion, and shot type. Now, it seems like there's more things there than in the Bushnell Launch Pro, but some of those are kind of superfluous. So focus on the data points you think are most important to you. They both kind of have almost everything. However, with the Mevo Plus Pro upgrade, which again, I don't think is really optional at this point, I think to get the most out of the amount of money you're spending and to get the most bang for your buck, you should just go ahead and add the Pro package. With that, you now get face to path, face to target, dynamic loft, club path, vertical swing plane, horizontal swing plane, which those views are incredible. And I do have a video linked here to show you what that stuff does. It's intense and it's special. It also gives you low point, vertical descent angle curve, club speed profile, and club acceleration profile. Again, some of those kind of superfluous. All in all, I think in terms of data points with the Pro upgrade, you're getting a little bit more when it comes to those 3D visualizations, that D-plane data. Pretty special stuff. But with the Bushnell, it's also very, very powerful as well. I will give here, though, the slight edge to the Mevo Plus just by a hair. The next category here is accuracy, and that's a big one. Outdoors, I find both of these devices to be extremely accurate. Now, the Mevo Plus is a Doppler-based unit, meaning it's taking echolocation data in order to build a visual map of ball flight. The Bushnell Launch Pro is an optical device, so it's literally taking hundreds of pictures every second in order to find out how that ball's spinning as it leaves the club. Optical devices, in my mind, are always going to be a little bit more accurate in general, but the Mevo Plus is as good as it gets in this mid-range price point. The TrackMan is a Doppler device that is extremely accurate. The Mevo Plus would be the mid-range option. I think it's a fantastic unit on an outdoor basis. Now, if we're talking about indoors, I did an entire video, which I will also link to here as well as in the description. And if you want to take a deep dive on the accuracy of these two units, I highly recommend you check it out. But I will say the Bushnell indoors is the more accurate device indoors. So outdoors, about the same, but there's a difference when it comes to indoors, especially when you get to the higher irons and the woods in your bag. The Bushnell Launch Pro is going to be the more accurate device most of the time. Now, if you're new to the show, you might be thinking, who is this guy and how does he know what's more accurate? It's just two units and who's right or wrong. Well, I will say this, I play golf 3 times a week and I know exactly how far I hit my irons and how well I strike my irons, and the Bushnell is just a little bit better. The specifics on why it's better, it has to do with launch angle and peak height and how high the devices were measuring the ball flight. And that is just the handicap that a Doppler device has. When you've only got 8 or 10 feet of space in front of you to the screen like I have here, you are not going to be able to see the ball go up as high. So the unit has to make some assumptions and some calculations. And in the case of my testing, the Mevo Plus came up a little bit short and the spin numbers were a little bit higher than they should have been. So to tie a bow around this section, if you're going to use these devices outdoors, the Mevo Plus and the Bushnell pretty much toe-to-toe. But if you're going to primarily use them indoors, or if you're even going to split it 50-50, I would be leaning Bushnell Launch Pro in terms of accuracy here, because you're going to get the best of both worlds, both indoors and out. Hope that helps. The next category here is durability, and that comes down to build quality. And while this might be subjective, I think that I can pretty much say the Bushnell Launch Pro is the more durable device. The build quality is super solid, and just holding these two devices in your hands is very obvious of the fact. The Mevo Plus is almost a little hollow. If that were to ever drop, I would be really worried about the electronics inside. And if that ever got hit by a golf ball or some freak accident, I would be scared that this device could potentially break on me. I think the Bushnell Launch Pro is going to hold up a little bit better. On some of my Bushnell Launch Pro videos, I've had people ask me, well, what if you shank it and hit the device? Is it gonna break the device? And I really don't think it will. First of all, a golf ball cannot fit in between the little space there is where the camera's lens is, so it wouldn't shatter the glass there. And again, it's a if you knock on this thing or touch this thing or hold this thing in any way, you'll know what I mean. The fact that this thing could probably take a couple of licks and keep on ticking. So durability here is going to go to the Bushnell Launch Pro. Now, when it comes to portability, I'm gonna go ahead and give that one to the Mevo Plus. It's squarely in its favor because the Mevo Plus is a much smaller form factor. It is nice and thin. It would easily fit in your golf bag if you're taking it from your home to the driving range or wherever you might take this device. Not so much the case with the Bushnell Launch Pro. It's big, it's bulky, it sits, I don't know, a foot off of the ground or so, and it's just kind of like a brick. So it's heavy and it's bulky and not as easy to transport. So for that, if you're thinking about really using the device in different areas and going from your home to other places, highly recommend the Mevo Plus as the better option there. Now, the next category here is battery life. How many sessions can you get out of these devices before you need to charge them? Now, Flightscope will tell you that the Mevo Plus will give you 5 hours of stated battery life. In practice, I find that to be a little bit less. And I would say it's good for 2 or 3 sessions, but then you're gonna have to charge it after that. Bushnell also states their Launch Pro is going to last between 5 to 7 hours, but again, just like the Mevo Plus, I seem to get significantly less than that when I take it out on the range, and especially if I'm in full sun here in Florida. I would say that with either of these devices, you're going to get about 3 sessions, give or take, out of them, maybe 2 if you're doing a full simulation session. You're definitely not going to get what the manufacturer states, so be prepared to plug this thing in overnight alongside your iPhone, your Tesla, or whatever else you're plugging in. So here's the final score for me up on screen here, but like I said in the beginning of this video, take a look at the categories that are most important to you. I hope this video shed a little bit more light for you on those options available. And if you have any further questions, please do leave a comment down below, as I will be more than happy to answer the ones that I can answer. And our community is really good about crowdsourcing answers that I don't know. So feel free to join the discussion down below. Check these videos here on screen, which will give you a little bit deeper dive into both of these devices as you're making your decision. Hope you enjoy those, and I'll catch you back here very soon on another edition of Let's Play Through.